Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with the bad news that the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, appears to be overindulging again. How else does one explain this performance where she told CBS that Joe Biden is so good he deserves a place at Mount Rushmore, along the likes of Lincoln, Washington and Jefferson?
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next?
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore, Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
Mount Rushmore. She said there Biden was at the top of his game and among the most consequential presidents. Then why did she play a key part in the plot to remove him as the Democrats' nominee, even after he secured more than 14 million primary votes? Talk about threats to democracy. We will get back to the Democrats shortly, but first let's check in with one of our favourite trans activists explaining the science of dudes giving birth. Apparently, it's not a matter of if, but when.
Trans women getting pregnant is not as far off as you'd think. In the past 10 years, 50 babies have been born from a uterus transplant. So far, these implants have only been attempted on cis women, but there's nothing that says it couldn't work on a trans woman. After all, my hormone levels are pretty similar to a cisgender woman, so why not? The main thing in the way is that the science is new, so there aren't enough surgeons out there to do the testing. So it's less about if we can do it and more about when we can do it. Imagine a trans woman using her own DNA along with her partner's egg to create life. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Incredible? I have some other words I would have used. And we're also told by other trans activists that men identifying as women can have periods.
Once a month, trans women will experience what is known as a period. Some astute viewers might notice that most trans women don't have a uterus, let alone an ovaries or anything along the lines of that. But that doesn't change the fact that they are experiencing a period.
Look, I'm not sure why anyone wants to pretend to have a menstrual cycle when they clearly don't, but here's a reality check. If you don't have ovaries, you ain't getting periods. Now, back to the Democrats and their propaganda arm, the overwhelming majority of the media, who continue with their race obsessions. Here's former Democrat operative and now an ABC host, George Stephanopoulos, yelling at Byron Donalds. Here's another lefty losing it.
There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue...
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer.
Oh dear, there's about another 4 minutes of George losing it, asking about race and then getting upset when Byron Donalds answers his questions. White men yelling at black folk is, well, vintage Democrats, isn't it? And CNN have joined in. They sent out a reporter in a Michael Jordan T-shirt to a barber shop. And when the black workers there and the customers didn't give them the answers they wanted, well, a white dude on camera called them low information voters.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow. Is Kamala black, yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African-American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low-information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
Amazing stuff there from CNN. And the same DEI enthusiasts who insisted that Joe Biden pick a black female Veep in 2020 are now outraged that Kamala Harris would be seen as a DEI pick.
Are you committed to naming a black woman as your vice presidential running mate? What makes this so ugly is that it reveals a truth that is clearly broadly held within Republican circles. That white men, by definition, when they have a job, earned it and deserve it. And anybody but a white man is a DEI hire.
You know what? There are a growing number of people from all backgrounds, including plenty of black men, who know that DEI is not only racist, it's actually not good for them. It's often affluent, white, liberal women who are the biggest beneficiaries, like this white woman for Kamala.
Is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season.
That's Ariel Foda. She's not new to activism. Let's check in on some of her earlier work. And I'm going to warn you, this may be one of the most annoying people in the world.
Yeah, they just want to put a little warning sticker on your stove so that you know that it actually means methane gas. Yeah, the one making the world warmer. Yes, that is really happening. Can you catch a bubble, please? California has used stickers to warn people about chemicals for a long, long time, and the stickers are nothing to be afraid of. I promise. They just want people to know about the health impacts of burning gas so that we can be safer.
Oh, imagine being lectured to by that lady on the ills of the world. We should send that sort of footage down to Gitmo. Should probably be more effective than waterboarding.
And that's why they're saying that there should be more information so people can learn about that. Nobody is coming to take your stove. Do you want to sign this paper with me? Okay, let's do it. Learning new things is great. I'm glad you're not scared anymore.
Now to another painfully annoying lefty who brags about ruining a family gathering.
So I just got kicked out of a gender reveal party. Everybody's clapping, it's a boy, and I just happen to say, well, let's give it 10 years and see if it sticks. Grandma clutches her pearl. I'm leaving! The receipt's in the bag! I got them a pride onesie from Target.
And while we're on gender reveal parties, it's never too late to throw them. Here is a mum and dad throwing one for their son, who now identifies as their daughter. And have a look at just how happy the dad seems to be about all this. And there'll be more Lefties Losing It content with my next guest. Alex Stein has been sparring with the young folk, some of them painfully woke and naive. Let's have a look.
People who aren't citizens can't vote.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't.
Arizona,
Republicans made it illegal in 1995. Okay, no, you're right. You're right.
You don't think an illegal? Let me just say this: you don't think an illegal immigrant has ever voted in the federal election?
No, because it's not.
Oh
counted.
my God!
No, actually, I disagree with that. I
you don't think no. This guy, the delegate guy, you're so smart. You don't think an illegal immigrant has ever voted in the presidential federal election?
Probably not.
Oh, my God.
Joining me now is the host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, what was that all about? What are you doing terrorising those young folk?
Well, you're right. That guy was very naive. But to be honest, it's been exposed that a lot of illegal immigrants vote in our election. And that's why there's congressmen trying to get the SAVE Act passed to make it where you have to be a citizen to vote. And, it's obvious that these elections have loopholes in ways where people can go and vote without showing an ID. I mean, even Kamala Harris, the vice president, the woman running for president, said that voter ID law is racist. And there's only one reason you don't want to have to ID people when they vote is so that they can vote illegally.
Well, it's crazy not to have voter ID. I just cannot understand it. And the overwhelming majority of Americans want it. So it's not something that's unpopular, that the people want it because they don't trust that the elections are completely above board. Now, talking about Kamala Harris, she's been, the candidate now for 2 weeks, but no interviews, Alex, nothing. This is just amazing to me because she would have the easiest time. The questions are probably going to be, why are you so brave and how are you going to save America and why is Donald Trump such a racist ogre? But she's still not sitting down with the friendly media. They're being treated with absolute disdain here. what's been the response? Is there any pressure growing for her to sit down and do an interview, not just read from an auto cue?
No, there's not enough pressure. I mean, CNN, MSNBC, this ABC debate that's up in the air, nobody's actually asked Kamala any questions. And I think the one time where she did speak at the prisoner exchange with Joe Biden, she absolutely embarrassed herself. She's not able to read just improv. She can't just naturally have a speech that sounds coherent and clear. She's always saying these very weird word salad answers that don't actually answer the question that she's being asked. So I think it's just a lack of talent. And sadly, I would argue and say that she's even less talented than Joe Biden at public speaking. I mean, Joe Biden has done it a lot longer. And sadly, you know, the wear and tear is showing. But Kamala Harris is not only untalented, she's for lack of a better word, she's dumb. And that's coming from a dumb guy myself. So I'm allowed to say that. I know a lot of viewers are going to get mad, but Kamala Harris is not a rocket scientist, as we say here in the United States.
Well, she's treating the media with absolute disdain, despite the fact that they've gone full North Korean state media for her. The campaign they have run for her, rebranding her as some sort of a visionary leader, when she was always seen as a massive liability for the Biden administration. There have been so many pieces in all the leftist media saying what a problem she has been, how she hasn't lived up to her potential. But now all of that's been buried and forgotten. And I want to just get a little bit more lighthearted with you. There's a clip that's doing the rounds of Kamala dancing with her husband, Doug. It's resurfaced and has gone viral. Now, what's your take on this? Is this just wholesome and sweet, or is it a little bit cringe? What do you think, Alex? It's kind of endearing. I know it's not, you know, it may not be cool. It may not be getting the Zoomers and the millennials going, but it's kind of sweet to see a couple dancing together.
Well, you know, I love to cut a rug, and I actually like that video because now we don't need to do a DNA test. We can tell that Kamala is Indian. I think it's pretty obvious by her dance moves that she probably leans more Indian than African-American. But, you know, on a serious note, I do kind of like it. But, you know, Kamala's problem is not that she acts like an elitist. She was on Vogue with just regular Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. I think she does appeal to, I guess, just normal people. But at the end of the day, she is not capable of running our country. She's going to be a huge liability. We're having a stock market crash right now. Cryptocurrency is crashing. And it's all based on speculation that Kamala Harris might be the president in the near future. And so that's scaring the banks, all these corporations, companies. I mean, Kamala Harris becoming president of the United States could theoretically end the republic in which we have right now.
Well, that's a big call, Alex. Let's not get that dramatic. Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Kamala. He's in all...
I would say, what if everything crashes,
well,
Rita?
You know
I'm just worried. Yeah.
Nothing surprises me these days. I mean, if you told me 3 weeks ago that President Trump would have come 1 inch from being shot dead and the whole event has pretty much been buried and we've moved on like it never happened, nothing surprises me these days. But this story is something that the Harris campaign are not happy about. Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, it's been revealed that he cheated on his first wife with their child's nanny, getting her pregnant. And the Harris campaign is apparently in panic about this story coming out. Is this going to impact the honeymoon run she's had, or is this just going to create more sympathy? Because at the end of the day, this isn't her fault. It's her husband's sins. Surely no one would be judging Kamala for what her husband did with his first wife.
Well, nobody in America is really going to care that he cheated on his first wife, sadly. You know, morals are not the most important things to these voters these days. But, you know, I think what this does tell us is why Doug Emhoff's daughter is so disturbed. I mean, you look at her TikToks and her tweets, she looks like a crazy person. And when you compare her to Barron Trump, who is, you know, I guess top of his class, you know, well-respected, kind of shows you that, maybe Doug Imhoff is not as good a dad as he tries to portray himself as.
Well, getting the nanny pregnant is probably not the best thing you can do as a loving husband and father. Now, let's talk about more consequential issues. Two prominent black women who are backing Kamala Harris were caught on a Zoom call slinging racial slurs and using expletives against white voters, particularly white women. Let's have a look.
And we sitting there talking about the white women, Forget the white women. They're going to do what they white men tell them to do. That's what they tell themselves.
Now, these comments were made by Cora Masters, Barry and Melanie Campbell. Now, they've visited the White House more than 50 times combined during the Biden administration. The clip's from 2021, but I think that says plenty. There's not much unity in that clip.
Well, Rita, you have, the best segment, Lefties Losing It, and you just explained that DEI basically benefits white women the most. So maybe that she's been, passed over from white women so much, and maybe that's why she has animosity towards white women, because the DEI program that she stands for, those women actually could hurt them. And, really and truly, that woman's probably not that racist. Everybody that's, fighting this social justice or political activism, they like to use rhetoric like that because they think that it, resonates with the people watching. And it probably does to the viewers at home that watch that clip, live. They're probably like, you know what, I'm anti-white. But at the end of the day, the race problem here in America is not as bad as they like to say, on TV. I think that if we do have a natural disaster, people will come together. And that shows our true colors of what makes America strong. But sadly, there is a little bit of racism, but it's not as bad as the TV tells you.
Now, Donald Trump told Fox News that Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg has been in touch with him a few times. He's called him since that near assassination, and he's expressed his admiration for him. But Alex, I'm not trusting Mark Zuckerberg, because you only have to look at Facebook and Instagram to see how it leans left, how they suppress speech, how they mark things and put fact checks on things that don't need fact checks, and how they promote things that are obviously not true. What's your take? Is Mark Zuckerberg really just going to play it straight this election? Because last time around, he donated around $400 million of his own money to fortify the election.
Well, even more important than the money that he donated was just the censorship that he did on Facebook. And if he agrees to not do that this election, I think it'll be a much different outcome. But at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg's coming around. Now that he's a UFC fighter, his testosterone levels are up. So maybe Mark Zuckerberg is MAGA now.
No, I don't think so. I'm not buying it, Alex Stein. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Rita. Always a pleasure.